Our story takes us back nearly 2,400 years to the time of Plato, the great philosopher. After describing his vision of the ideal state in the Republic, turned to a deeper question. Could such a society ever exist in reality? To explore this, he wrote the dialogues Timaeus and Critias, and it is here that the legend of Atlantis first emerges. According to Plato, Solon, the famed Athenian lawmaker, once traveled to Egypt. There a priest told him a story. Thousands of years earlier, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, lay a vast island. This was Atlantis, home to a magnificent civilization. At first they were virtuous, living in harmony with the gods, but in time, wealth and power corrupted them. They sought to dominate the world, and only Athens dared to resist. Then, in a single day and night of earthquakes and floods, Atlantis vanished beneath the sea. Thus was born history's most famous tale of a lost civilization. But here's the question: was this story ever true? Most historians believe Plato intended Atlantis as an allegory, a moral warning about arrogance and decline. Yet the idea of a mighty civilization swallowed by the ocean proved impossible to forget. By the 16th century, European explorers dreamed of finding Plato's lost island. The rediscovery of Troy, Machu Picchu, and Petra fueled the thought. If these places were real, why not Atlantis? The idea reached its peak in the 19th century with William Scott Elliot, an eccentric spiritualist and amateur cartographer. Scott Elliot drew elaborate maps, claiming that continents once stood in very different positions. He spoke of two vanished supercontinents, Atlantis and Lemuria. In his vision, Atlantis was not just a city, but a vast empire of millions, with flying ships and technologies that could draw power from other dimensions. Its capital, a dazzling circular city of canals and palaces. Scott Elliot even argued that the Atlanteans were no ordinary humans, but a race with extraordinary abilities, able to commune with higher realms. He dated Atlantis's destruction to 9,564 BC, linking it to the story of Noah's flood. Before their fall, he claimed, the Atlanteans spread across the world, gifting humanity with agriculture, architecture, and engineering. But this is where a seemingly harmless myth grew darker. Scott Elliot went further, identifying the Atlanteans as the ancestors of the so-called Aryan race. In his narrative, the heirs of this great civilization were today's white Europeans. For the colonial powers of his time, this was an irresistible myth. Faced with the pyramids of Egypt or the ruins of ancient cities in lands they deemed primitive, Europeans often thought, surely these people could not have built such wonders. They needed another explanation, one that reinforced their sense of superiority. Atlantis provided it. In the 20th century, this idea turned sinister. Heinrich Himmler and the Nazi elite embraced Atlantis as the lost homeland of the Aryan race. Through the Ahnenerbe Institute, they tried to cloak myth in pseudoscience. Thus, a story born as a philosophical allegory became a justification for one of history's most destructive ideologies. And this raises a profound question. How can a myth transform from a moral tale into a dangerous belief that fuels the death of millions? Atlantis is perhaps the clearest example. Today, no archaeological evidence supports Atlantis's existence. Yet the human imagination loves to fill gaps. For some, Atlantis remains a lost civilization. For others, simply Plato's metaphor. But perhaps the real issue is this: humanity often struggles to believe in its own potential. Faced with the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe or Machu Picchu, we doubt our ancestors could have built such marvels. It seems easier to credit them to some forgotten higher civilization. Maybe Atlantis never existed, but belief in it has held up a mirror to human nature. Our doubts, our myths, and our longing for something greater than ourselves. So, what do you think? Was Atlantis real, or one of history's greatest illusions?